The other day, my dear son-in-law asked me if I wanted to say a few words, and I immediately turned him down. Because I'm shy and I don't like to speak in front of groups. But driving over here and looking at all the beautiful people here, so I had these flashbacks and some of the memories that go back a while, and I just wanted to share some of them with you. I think some of them you'll probably know, be familiar with. Others you may not have heard it. This will be the first time. So I'd like to start off with the first time I met Babi. The very, very first time. Okay, it's kind of a cute story. So, as you know, Debbie and I, we did not meet through a traditional shadchan. We met on the D train. Don't remember. D is in David. But we were too shy. We just kept looking at each other and everything. And I happened to be in the diamond business, and she also happened to work in the diamond business. I didn't know it at the time. So one of the brokers that used to visit all the offices comes to me one day and says, "Listen, you're single, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." He says, "You know, I know this nice girl from, she works in a diamond office, and I think you guys should meet each other." So I said, "You know, I'm Orthodox, I don't know anything about the girl." So he says, "Yeah, she's very religious, she comes from a good home and everything." And he told Debbie the same thing. "I have a nice boy, okay, he's in the diamond business." And she says, "I don't know if my mother's going to let me. We only go through shadchans, you know." So he says, "Is he religious? Because I'm very religious. My parents are very, very, very frum." He says, yeah, he wears a yarmulke. And I asked him a few questions. He goes to shul, he puts on tefillin and everything. So Debbie says, "You know, I'll take a chance." So we met for lunch, and I asked her out for that Sunday to go to Central Park. Debbie comes home and tells her mother, "Listen, there's a guy who's going to come on Sunday to pick me up on a date. We're going to Central Park." Right away, her mother almost had a heart attack. What guy? Where did you meet him? How did you? "Well, we were introduced by somebody, but I don't know anything about him. I mean, was this a shadchan? Do we check out the parents, the family?" She says, No, but it seems nice. I want to go out." "When's he coming?" "Sunday." "And where are you going? To the park, Central Park?" "Okay.
I'm coming with you."
So anyway, I'm figuring I'm going to Central Park. So how do you dress for Central Park? In those days, wore polyester pants, a shirt, a colored shirt. Okay, it was a little on the cool side, so it used to have, the style was narrow jackets, they called it. Okay.
You wear a jacket.
Yeah, it was a jacket. I wore a jacket at least. Yeah, a jacket. Okay. And her mother got dressed up like it was Shabbos. She wore her beautiful dress, she wore her pearls, she had a nice sheitel, she had a makeup. So I'm meeting this boy, and the chief also got all dressed up. Looked like they were going to shul. And she kept standing at the window, looking out the window, waiting for some young guy walking towards the house. She waited. All of a sudden she says, "I see somebody coming." "Yeah, I think he's walking to the house. I hope it's not him." He says, "Why?" He says, he has no tie, he's not wearing a suit, he is not wearing a hat. What kind of jacket is that? And those shoes. So Debbie says, "Those are hush puppies." Hush puppies were in style. I know the young people don't know what hush puppies were. It was like a suede shoe, very comfortable, you know. She says, "Oh my goodness." She says, so anyway, ring the bell. I walk into the house. She looks me over like this, you know. Have a seat. Sits me down at the dining room table, and she had fruit. You know, Jewish mother can't sit down, potential date at a table with nothing on it. So she had her fruit. She had her flowers out. Everybody was dressed.
Pink cake?
The chief sat down.
Pink cake?
Pancakes?
Pink cake.
Pink cake.
No pink cake. No pink cake. Just fruit.
That was after they got engaged.
Right away, you can see our father was very nervous. Starts asking me questions. You know, where did you daven? Where did you learn? Who's your father? Who was he born? Which, a million questions, you know. And Debbie kept saying, kept saying, "It's enough, you know." Anyway, we left and we went to Central Park. Okay, so that's how I first met Babi. As I got to know her, she realized that I wasn't that bad. And she made me seem it first, you know. looks can be deceiving. And we spent many years together, the Haas family and the Weiser family, almost every Pesach, and many Sukkahs together, some in Florida, some in California, different hotels, and some in the house. And we really got to know each other and love each other, okay? And when I think about Babi, it says in the Torah that when the Yidden accepted the Torah, it says Nashev and Nishma. And Babi personifies that very much. She didn't ask a lot of questions. She didn't philosophize. She didn't ask why, what, how, where. She did it. If that's how she learned it, that's how her father did it, that's how she saw it in her family, so she would do it. And Babi's greatest joy looking at all these beautiful people here, well, you guys were her really joy, okay? Especially after the chief was nifta, all she had left was her family. And nothing brought her more joy than when she FaceTimed with some of you, when she heard your voices on the phone. She would ask about each kid, each grandkid, how's this one doing, how's that one doing, and she knew everybody's name, okay? She knew everybody's name. People, she got a lot of joy when people would send her report cards from the kids, papers, compositions they wrote, how they were doing in your school, how they were doing in your shiva, tremendous joy. And also, what I remember about her, she liked this, she had this special chair in the back, this recliner, which I think she lived there, except for eating. She practically lived on it. But next to her was always two sfarim. She had a siddur, and she had a tillim. And Yantif, she had a matzah. That was very, very important to her. And she had, the chief must have put it in all the places. She didn't have to look for anything. She had these little pieces of tissue. She shouted, this is mincha, this is slichas, this is yiska, this is Shemoneh Esrei. And every time we visited her, okay, when I walked into the back room, she was generally looking in the siddur. And if she wasn't looking in the siddur, she was saying Tehillim. And I asked her once, I said, you said the Tehillim, how many times have you gone through the Tehillim? She says, many, many times. I said, can I ask you a personal question? She says, yes. I said, who are you saying Tehillim for? I say, so much Tehillim. She says, you want to know the truth? I'll tell you. She says, I'm saying it for the kids, the grandkids, the great-grandkids. I said, and what are you asking for? I said, oh, boy, if you knew, I'm asking for so many good things. I'm asking for health. They should grow up and go in the right derech. They should be happy and they should be healthy. Because she came from a very difficult background. And looking out, seeing all you people, this is what she lived for. I think this kept her going after Zaidi passed away. Okay, because she was very negative and she was very depressed. But we used to tell all the time, hey, Ma, you got a wonderful, terrific family. And I think she says, you're right. She had to be reminded. She would get calls before Shabbos from many of you wishing her a good Shabbos and a good Yontiv and this and that. I was there sometimes when the calls came in. As a matter of fact, I picked up the phone sometimes. I would say, Moskowitz residents. And they would wonder, who is this? I said, this is the butler. And who would you like to speak to? Can I speak to Mrs. Moskowitz? Okay. Then I would say, this is Harry, Herschel. And everybody would laugh or something like that. I would give her the phone, and all of a sudden her face lit up. It went from being down to like, and she would like to hear all the small details. It didn't matter what the details were. She wanted to know every little thing about everybody. Okay, so I think right now, looking down, I think the wonderful fruits from the tree. Okay, that's what they say. You judge a tree by its fruits. I think we're all the fruits, the sons and the daughters and the cousins and the in-laws and the son-in-laws and the daughter-in-laws and the kids and their kids. Meretz Hashem. I think she's looking down. I'd like to think she's looking down right now and checking nachas from everybody and realizing that what she had was really special. Okay, and what made it special is everybody here. I know most of you quite well, and I think this is a terrific crowd. I don't think you can get a nicer family, a bunch of kids. I love you guys all. You're all terrific. So I'd like to think that she's looking down and saying a Tehillim, and keeping us in mind, because that I'm sure, because that was her life, saying a Tehillim, wishing all of us a good year, and the Gebenshia, the Mazel, and Gesint, and everything. And we have to thank Babi, so I'll say, Babi, thank you for giving us this wonderful family and this gathering, and it's all for you. So that's what I have to say. Right.
Oh, yeah.